All began on a quiet day, the kind of day that feels like nothing special until something unforgettable happens. She wasn't looking for love. She wasn't dressed to impress. Her hair was a little messy, and her heart was quietly healing from things she didn't talk about. But then, he smiled at her. Not the kind of smile people practice for pictures, no. It was the kind of smile that feels warm, like home. The kind that makes your stomach flutter and your chest feel a little lighter. And for the first time in a long time, she felt seen. She remembers that moment so vividly, two teenagers locking eyes for the first time in a quiet school hallway, her clutching her books shyly, him smiling gently as sunlight streamed through the windows. They started talking, awkward at first, with soft laughter between unsure words. But soon, talking to him felt easy. Like breathing. Like something she was always meant to do. She can still picture them sitting together on the school steps during break, laughing softly, their uniforms hinting at their youth, shy chemistry in their eyes as the trees swayed gently in the background. Late-night phone calls became a habit. Good morning texts came with sunshine emojis and tiny hearts. They would laugh until their cheeks hurt and share secrets like children whispering beneath a blanket. She remembers those golden hour walks home, their pinkies brushing shyly, the calm suburban street sprinkled with flower petals, the air feeling like a promise. He told her she was special. She told him she felt safe. She remembers lying in bed under fairy lights, video calling him while he laughed through his headphones. Everyone around them said they were perfect, like puzzle pieces finally finding each other. She believed it too. She believed this love would last forever. But forever is a long time. And love is more than just butterflies and beautiful words. One day, she sat alone in the kitchen, staring at her phone, a phone that used to light up with his name every hour. Now, silence. Long, quiet, heavy silence. She told herself he was just busy. That he'd call later. That maybe she was just overthinking. But her heart knew. It always knew when something was changing. She thought about how they used to walk side by side, fingers intertwined, laughing about silly things. Now, she walked alone, trying to remember the last time she felt truly close to him. What happened? Where did the love go? Why did something that started with magic now feel like a slow goodbye? She didn't know yet, but the answers would come. Because when love fades, it doesn't disappear all at once. It slips away quietly, through the cracks we don't notice, the words we don't say, and the effort we stop making. And this is the story of how love can fall apart, even when it begins so beautifully. But also, how love can be saved. If you're still here, take a breath, this is just the beginning. She still keeps a torn notebook page filled with love notes and little drawings, a faded school photo of them tucked behind it. And every time she sees it, the feeling returns, nostalgic and precious. She used to believe that love would fix everything. That if two people truly cared for each other, they would always know what to say. That real love meant never arguing. That once found, love would always feel like the first few days, full of butterflies, sweet surprises, and constant attention. She grew up watching movies where love was always glowing, always exciting, always perfect. And deep down, she wanted that kind of love, the one with fireworks and fairy tale endings. So when their relationship began to feel quiet, she panicked. The texts came slower. The phone calls shorter. The voice notes and little heart emojis stopped appearing. She could feel it, the space between them, growing wider. She thought something was wrong. Was it her? Was she not trying hard enough? Was he getting bored? She tried to chase the version of their love from the beginning, the laughter, the kisses, the long messages. She remembers days at the local market, eating ice cream together, teasing each other while colorful stalls and street vendors buzzed in the background, their bond feeling effortless. She remembers afternoons in the park, sitting under a tree, sharing earphones, their shoulders touching softly as they closed their eyes and got lost in music. But no matter how hard she tried, it didn't feel the same. What she didn't realize then was that love, real love, isn't always exciting. It has soft days, boring days, quiet moments that don't sparkle but still matter. He hadn't stopped loving her. But he was human, tired, busy, lost in his own thoughts. And she, too, was changing. They both were. But instead of seeing that change as part of growing together, she saw it as a sign of something breaking. She didn't know that real love isn't made of constant highs. It's built in the ordinary, in the little routines, the small check-ins, the silent comfort of knowing someone is still there even without saying much. The problem wasn't that they stopped loving each other. It was that they expected love to always feel like a dream. So when real life came, stress, work, mood swings, family pressure, they didn't know how to hold each other through it. She expected him to read her mind. He expected her to always understand. They both thought love would be easy, and when it got hard, they didn't know what to do. She remembers their first disagreement, sitting on opposite ends of a park bench as dark rain clouds gathered overhead, the silence between them heavy. And she remembers the day he came to her door with a small gift, his face nervous, her surprise softening into forgiveness. That night, they shared a simple candle-lit dinner in a quiet room, a single flame flickering between them as they smiled gently, knowing they had found their way back, at least for now. Love isn't perfect. It's patient. It's learning. It's choosing someone even when the butterflies are gone. She would later learn expectations are heavy. They can crush the joy out of something beautiful. And the more we compare our love to others, the more we forget to appreciate what we have. She still loved him. He still loved her. But their expectations were louder than their gratitude. And that silence between them, it was growing. There wasn't a big fight. No shouting. No doors slammed. No harsh words thrown in the air like knives. Just silence. At first, it was small, a missed good morning text, a message left on read, a dinner shared in quiet where the only sound was the clinking of spoons. But over time, that silence grew. It stretched across days like a wall they didn't know how to climb. She started to wonder, why won't he talk to me? And he wondered, why does she always assume the worst? He wasn't ignoring her on purpose. Truth is, he just didn't know how to say what he felt. Every time he tried to speak, the words got stuck in his chest. He didn't want to hurt her, so he said nothing. But his silence hurt her more than any words could. She, on the other hand, didn't want to seem needy, so she held it in. But when her pain grew too loud to carry, it came out in frustration, in short answers, cold shoulders, late replies. They weren't fighting, but they weren't connecting either. It was like they were walking beside each other but in different worlds. She craved his attention. He craved her peace. But neither of them knew how to ask for what they needed without sounding like they were blaming the other. They stopped checking in. Stopped asking, "How was your day?" Stopped saying, "I miss you." And in that silence, doubt grew. Maybe he doesn't care anymore, she thought. Maybe she's not happy with me, he wondered. The truth? They both still cared. Deeply. But love needs oxygen. And in silence, it suffocates. Words, even messy ones, are bridges. Silence is a river. And soon, they were standing on opposite sides of something they didn't know how to cross.
She remembers the joyful days before it all, running together through ocean waves at sunset, clothes soaked, laughter bright in the golden light. Dancing slowly in a dimly lit room, no music playing, just holding each other close, letting the quiet feel safe instead of cold. Movie nights on the couch wrapped in a blanket, popcorn scattered, the TV glow lighting their faces as a dog slept peacefully at their feet. Mornings in the kitchen when one would surprise the other with breakfast, heart-shaped pancakes on a plate, playful smudges of flour on their noses. A collage of framed photos on the wall, vacations and silly selfies, text messages with heart emojis, all pieces of a love that once felt unshakable. They could have saved it, with honesty, with kindness, with the courage to say, "I'm scared," or "I miss how we used to laugh." But neither of them made the first move. And so, the silence won. Not because they didn't love each other, but because they forgot how to speak that love aloud.
She saw it early, the little things, the way he brushed off her feelings like they didn't matter, the way he'd say something that hurt then laugh and call it just a joke, the way he'd forget her birthday but never forgot to charge his phone. But love has a strange way of making us see what we want to see, so she told herself he was just tired, or stressed, or not good at showing emotions. She remembered how sweet he was in the beginning, how his hands felt safe, how his eyes looked at her like she was everything, and she thought maybe that version of him would come back. She waited, gave him space, made excuses to friends, smiled through tears, all because she believed in his potential, not who he was now, but who he might become. He wasn't cruel, he never raised his hand or shouted, but the way he made her feel was small, confused, unheard. When she cried, he rolled his eyes. When she needed comfort, he went silent. When she tried to talk, he twisted her words. And still, she stayed, not because she was weak but because she loved deeply, because she believed that love meant patience, that maybe, just maybe, if she gave enough, he'd finally give back. But love doesn't work like that. Love isn't supposed to make you doubt your worth, it's not supposed to make you feel like you're too sensitive for wanting kindness or too needy for craving attention. She knew, deep down she knew, the red flags weren't going away, they were just getting harder to ignore. And one night, lying in bed beside someone who made her feel more alone than when she was truly alone, she realized it's not unkind to walk away from what's slowly breaking you, it's not disloyal to protect your peace, it's brave. She had hoped the red flags would fade, but they only got brighter, louder, heavier. And when she finally let go, the hardest part wasn't the goodbye, it was forgiving herself for holding on so long. A dark, moody image of the couple sitting in silence during dinner, their phones in hand, not looking at each other, cold light, disconnection. A side-by-side view of their text messages, the girl typing long heartfelt messages and the boy responding with short dry replies, emotional imbalance. A scene of the girl crying alone on the bed while holding her phone, the screen glowing, showing a seen message with no reply, loneliness and love. A cold scene where they walk past each other in public, eyes avoiding, no words spoken, emotional distance now visible. A visual of a cracked photo frame of their smiling picture, half shattered, symbolizing the emotional break.
In the beginning, they couldn't get enough of each other. She would stay up just to hear his voice, he would drive across town just to see her smile. Their messages were pages long, their calls hours, their laughter effortless, it felt like magic. The kind of love people write songs about. She left love notes in his bag, he brought her favorite snack on rainy days. They planned futures with wide eyes and open hearts, but life has a way of getting louder, and love, if left alone, gets quieter. The messages turned into quick replies, the calls became missed ones, the laughter was replaced with tired sighs. They still cared but they stopped showing it, no more surprise kisses, no more long talks under the stars, no more I saw this and thought of you. Not because the love was gone but because the effort was. She would wait for him to ask how her day went, he would wait for her to make the first move. They both felt the distance but neither said a word. They were living together but growing apart, sleeping beside each other but dreaming alone. She missed being seen, he missed being appreciated, but instead of reaching out they retreated further into silence. And love doesn't disappear in a single moment, it fades, like flowers without sunlight, like a candle no one bothered to relight, like a garden never watered. One day she looked at him and realized she didn't know when they stopped trying, only that it had already happened. Love isn't a one-time promise, it's a daily choice, and when effort leaves, even the deepest love can feel hollow. She still remembers the way he looked at her in the beginning, like she was a miracle, and maybe if they had kept choosing each other over and over, they could have found that look again. But love, like any living thing, only survives if you take care of it. They forgot that, and now all that remains are the memories of how beautiful it once was, and the quiet ache of what it could have been. A powerful close-up of the girl standing alone at the beach, wind blowing through her hair, eyes teary but strong, she looks into the distance. The boy sits alone in his room, cluttered with old photos, holding his head in regret, a deep emotional weight. A flashback image of their happier days shown on a TV screen while the girl sits alone watching, contrast between past joy and present pain. A split scene, the girl at a party surrounded by people but feeling invisible, the boy at a cafe staring blankly at his phone, parallel sadness. A symbolic image of a wilted flower in a glass jar, once vibrant, now drooping, time has taken its toll. Some distances don't begin with arguments or anger, some begin with silence, the kind of silence that slowly wraps around a relationship like fog, soft, quiet, and barely noticeable until you can't see each other anymore. They were still together, still sharing meals, still sleeping in the same bed, but their hearts were somewhere else. She would speak and he'd nod, but his eyes were on his phone, he would talk and she'd smile, but her mind was miles away. Little things began to slip away, the good morning hugs, the how was your day check-ins, the warmth in their voices. They weren't fighting, but they weren't connecting either. She started doing things alone, going for walks, watching shows they once loved together. He stayed in his world, busy with work, tired from everything but her, and yet if you looked from the outside they looked fine, a normal couple, smiling in pictures, sitting beside each other at dinner, but the truth was simple, they were no longer growing together. She was changing, learning, healing, dreaming of new things, he was staying the same, holding on to comfort, afraid of anything that felt unfamiliar. She tried to share her new thoughts, her new passions, but he didn't understand, didn't ask, didn't try. The more she opened up the more alone she felt, and so she stopped opening up. Some nights she would lie awake, just inches from him, wondering how someone so close could feel so far. They had once danced in the kitchen, now they barely looked at each other while passing the salt. They had once talked for hours, now their conversations were about groceries and bills. Love didn't leave them, it just got tired of waiting for them to notice it was fading. Because when two people stop growing together they start growing apart, and no matter how strong the past was, if the present isn't nurtured even the sweetest memories can't keep two hearts from drifting. She missed him, he missed her, but neither of them knew how to say it, so they stayed in the same house with hearts that no longer touched, hoping somehow that silence would fix what only love could. The boy walking toward her apartment holding an apology note and flowers, nervous but determined, a quiet hopeful morning. A heart-to-heart conversation on a park bench under the shade, eyes locked, emotions raw, as they talk honestly for the first time in a while. A hopeful scene where they hug tightly, both crying, realizing they still care. The sky is clear again. A moment of laughter breaking tension. They sit eating street food again like they used to, things feel familiar again. A visual of a handwritten letter from the girl saying let's try again, but slower this time, laying beside their old photos.
The end didn't come with shouting, no broken plates, no slammed doors, no one packed a suitcase in the middle of the night. It came in whispers, in pauses too long, in moments too empty. It came on a Sunday morning when she stood by the window holding a cup of tea, watching the world outside bloom with life while inside she felt like she was wilting. He was in the other room scrolling through his phone, unaware that something precious was slowly slipping through their fingers. She didn't want to hurt him and he didn't want to lose her, but neither knew how to fight for what they once had. They had said "I love you" so many times but stopped showing it. They had promised forever but forgot that forever takes work. She tried one last time. She asked, "Do you still feel like we're us?" He looked at her tired, confused, and said nothing. Not because he didn't care but because he didn't know how to bring something back to life when he couldn't even find the words. That night they sat across from each other in silence. Their dinner grew cold, their hearts colder. She knew then not because he said it but because he didn't. Love doesn't always leave with a storm, sometimes it leaves with a sigh. So she made the decision that felt like tearing herself in half, not because she stopped loving him but because staying was starting to cost her peace. And when peace becomes a stranger in your own home, it's time to leave. The goodbye wasn't loud. It was her standing by the door a week later, suitcase in hand, eyes full of water but voice steady. He didn't stop her. He just looked down, nodding slightly as if somewhere deep down he knew this was coming all along. She walked away heartbroken but not broken, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from something that's no longer growing, even if part of you still loves it. She didn't hate him. He didn't blame her. They were two good people who forgot how to love each other in the right way, and that was the end. Not with a crash but with a quiet goodbye, a devastating scene of them arguing in the rain, voices lost but gestures sharp, umbrellas forgotten, everything's falling apart, a symbolic image of the girl walking away down a misty road, back turned, suitcase in hand, rain falling lightly, final goodbye. The boy sits on the floor in the empty apartment surrounded by silence and memories, broken. A visual of the girl deleting their old photos from her phone with trembling fingers, rain tapping her window, a powerful silhouette shot of them both staring at the same full moon from different places miles apart, still connected somehow.
She didn't smile for a while, not the real kind, the kind that starts in your chest and reaches your eyes. Her days felt quiet, her nights long. There were moments she reached for her phone, forgetting there was no one left to text goodnight. The silence wasn't empty, it was full of memories, of laughs, of the way his hand used to fit into hers, of dreams they once built together. But healing is never loud, it's gentle, it's slow, it happens in moments you don't even notice at first, like the day she laughed again, really laughed, at a movie she watched alone, or the day she cleaned out her closet and didn't cry when she saw his hoodie, or the first time she looked in the mirror and thought, "I'm still here, I'm still me." She didn't hate love, she just started loving herself more. She read books, took long walks, listened to music with lyrics that made her cry and heal at the same time. And when her friends asked how she was doing, she'd smile and say, "Better." Not perfect, but better. One day, not soon but not too far, she met someone new, someone who didn't rush her healing, someone who didn't expect her to forget, someone who simply held her hand and said, "I'm here whenever you're ready." It was different this time, no fireworks, no whirlwind, just warmth, just kindness. It was in the way he listened, the way he respected her boundaries, the way he made her feel safe. And that's when she realized love isn't always what we think it is. It isn't always loud or dramatic, it doesn't always look like the movies. Sometimes love is soft, patient, quiet, safe. Sometimes love begins with healing, sometimes it begins with you. She still remembered the past, but not with pain, with gratitude. Because it taught her what she deserved, what she should never settle for, what real love looks and feels like. She didn't need a perfect partner, she just needed someone willing to grow with her. Someone who didn't promise to never hurt her but promised to never stop trying. And maybe that's the most beautiful thing about love. It doesn't end when a chapter closes. It begins again, braver, wiser, softer, because this time she chose herself first, and from that place of healing she was ready to choose love again. A calm morning image of the girl doing yoga alone in her new apartment. Sunlight pouring in through open windows, peaceful and healing. The boy at therapy finally opening up, tears in his eyes, being listened to, a breakthrough moment. A montage of the girl journaling, smiling gently, planting flowers and walking in nature, rediscovering herself. A scene of the boy learning to cook, trying something new. He burns the first dish, then laughs, growth through effort. A visual of two parallel lives, both smiling again in different environments. She's at an art gallery, he's with friends on a hike.
If this story touched your heart, you're not alone. So many people are learning to heal, to grow, and to choose love in a better, safer way. Subscribe if you're on that journey too. Comment if you've ever had to start over. And remember, real love begins when you choose yourself and never stop growing from there. A poetic image of a diary page that reads, some love stories don't last forever, but they change you forever. Soft sunlight falling across the paper.
A bench at the park where they once sat, now empty but peaceful, leaves drifting down as if even the trees know time has moved on. A new day with the girl walking confidently into a new workplace, hair different, smile bright, the energy of a fresh start radiating from her. The boy surrounded by new friends, laughing in a way that's easy and unforced, a new chapter opening without them even realizing it, and finally two birds flying in different directions under a vast open sky, separate but whole, free yet forever touched by the winds they once shared.
A clock slowly melting, symbolizing how time changes love and memories, a tree with half of it full of blooming flowers and the other half bare, a symbol of a love that changed. Two paths in a forest diverging, each bathed in golden light, choices made with no regret, a mirror with a crack down the middle reflecting two different but stronger faces, a handwritten quote on a wall that reads, healing isn't forgetting. It's choosing peace over pain.
A surreal, dreamlike image of a girl standing in a field of floating clocks, each frozen at a different hour. She reaches for one gently, representing how time holds memories. An emotional shot of the couple's shadows, almost touching on a wall, even though they stand far apart in real life. A symbol of closeness that's no longer real. A blurred photograph of the couple mid-laughter, with only their faces in focus. Everything else fading like a memory. A stormy sky above a couple standing on opposite sides of a broken bridge. They want to cross but can't reach each other. Emotional distance. An open photo album on a wooden table, with one half full of joyful pictures, and the other side empty. A life that was full then suddenly stopped. A metaphorical image of a girl, with wings made of broken glass, flying above a quiet town. She's hurt but still rising. A boy walking through a foggy street, with heart-shaped paper pieces trailing behind him. Symbolic of broken promises. A girl sitting alone on a train looking out at a blurred city. A journey of moving forward but still holding back tears. A poetic image of two cups of coffee. One still full and hot, the other cold and half drunk. A symbol of love that was once shared but no longer equal. And a powerful close-up of the girl's face looking into a cracked mirror. One side reflecting the past, the other her present self, stronger and wiser.
A sunrise over a city skyline bathes everything in warm gold, a symbol of new beginnings and hope. A woman holding a small plant pot with a sprouting flower, smiling as sunlight falls on her hands, growth, healing, and self-love. A man tying his shoelaces at the edge of a mountain trail, preparing to hike, reclaiming life with fresh purpose. Two butterflies flying in different directions from the same flower, peaceful, beautiful, symbolic of letting go. A journal open on a desk that reads, To the one who taught me how to love, thank you, with a candle glowing beside it. A woman dancing barefoot in the rain, arms open, eyes closed, freeing herself emotionally, empowerment and rebirth.
An abstract visual of a heart made of shattered glass slowly mending itself with golden seams like kintsugi, healing after heartbreak. A peaceful shot of a girl reading a book in a sun-drenched room with a cup of tea beside her, content and peaceful alone. A man watching the sunset from a rooftop, breathing deeply, a soft smile on his face, acceptance and growth, and a final visual of an empty road stretching forward with soft light ahead, a metaphor for the journey still unfolding, an open future.